Let's get this thing going.
Check 1, 2.
The Hip Hop Study Hall podcast with DJ Ekin starts now.
About hip hop.
This one is a little bit serious, way more serious, I should say. And actually, it kind of hit me a little different because it's something that I've talked about before on this podcast and just talked about in general in real life. And the young lady's name is Cheslie Kryst. And if you don't know anything about her, in 2019, she won the Miss America pageant. She's also a lawyer. She's a correspondent for ETV. Like, she was doing a lot of really dope things. And the chick was only 30 from North Carolina. I want to get into this story, but first, I think that CBS News kind of laid it out as good as it can go for this type of situation. So let's listen to the CBS News report on the suicide of Miss Cheslie Kryst.
We have some sad news to share with you. Former Miss USA Cheslie Kryst died yesterday. New York City police say her body was found outside a high-rise apartment building near Times Square. They are calling it a suicide. Kryst was an attorney. She was also a correspondent and host for the TV news show Extra. She was just 30 years old. Jerika Duncan looks back at the life that touched many hearts, including ours.
Miss USA 2019 is North Carolina.
Cheslie Kryst exploded onto the national stage, winning the Miss USA title in May of 2019.
I got butterflies just now, watching it all over again, just being back in that moment. And the crown's very delicate, so I love, looking at it. And every morning it actually sits by my bedside. So I wake up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm actually Miss USA, I won.
The crowning of the North Carolina native marked an unexpected moment in history because for the first time, 3 black women were the reigning Miss USA, Miss Teen USA, and Miss America.
Did you realize when you were being crowned that this was really creating a historic moment?
No, that's the funny thing. I didn't even think about it until we started seeing posts on Instagram about there are 3 black queens who won the national, our respective national pageants.
Kryst was a former Division I athlete and wrote about having to be hospitalized for overworking herself while earning her law degree along with an MBA at the same time.
Hey y'all, I do a lot to make sure that I maintain my mental health. And the most important thing that I did is talk to a counselor.
She was a mental health advocate speaking out on World Mental Health Day and last March wrote about her reflections on turning 30. She penned an essay for Allure writing, "When I was crowned Miss USA 2019 at 28 years old, I was the oldest woman in history to win the title," and went on to write, "Turning 30 feels like a cold reminder that I'm running out of time to matter in society's eyes." Her success continued as she was often spotted at red carpet events, most recently working as a correspondent for Extra.
What is it like being able to do red carpets in person again?
A statement from the show reads in part, "Cheslie was not just a vital part of the show, she was a beloved part of our Extra family and touched the entire staff." According to New York City police, the 30-year-old's body was found Sunday morning in front of a high-rise in Midtown Manhattan. That same day, she made this final post on Instagram writing, "May this day bring you rest and peace." For CBS Mornings, Jerika Duncan, New York.
I first met her in May 2019 when she was sitting at our table at the old studio. And after the show, I asked for her number because I was so taken with her and wanted to stay in touch with her, which I did. So when I got the news yesterday, I was so prepared to talk. And now it's funny, when you start saying it out loud, it's tough. When I got the news yesterday, I felt like I had been punched in the stomach, as I'm sure you did. I talked to her mom last night. Cheslie comes from a family of 6 siblings, and they are all reeling. Her mother says the family's shattered. Nobody, Nate, and I know you know her too very well, nobody saw this coming. And this is what's so upsetting to me. How do you know to offer someone help if you don't know they need the help?
That's true.
That's what I'm struggling with today. That's why this is hitting me so hard, because she seemed to have it all.
She was like a sister to me.
I know.
We worked together at Extra.
I know.
My heart goes out to her family.
Mm-hmm.
Cheslie was beautiful inside and out. She was earnest. She was intelligent. She lived a life full of passion and determination and strength. She was a strong woman.
Yes.
So this is a reminder check on your strong friends. Don't assume, because this woman was sunshine personified.
Yep.
And she would walk in the room and light it up.
The room. She was sparkly and so very smart. And what's so also interesting is this week coming up, she had so many things to do, Tony, on her calendar.
Yeah.
She had a lot of things to do, a lot of things that she said she was looking forward to. And I think it's harder because people who are close to her, nobody knows, nobody has an answer to this.
No.
What did we all miss? What did we not know?
It doesn't make sense. I didn't know her personally, but I knew her work. I remember her standing right here and interviewing three of us. And these things don't make sense, which is why you do have to check on your strong friends. And you need to ask people directly.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to be frank and direct on these issues, because it can save a life.
We're going to miss you, Cheslie.
Very much.
And if you or someone you know is seeking mental health resources, you can call the National Alliance on Mental Illness. There's a helpline. It's 1-800-950-6264. And if you are in a crisis right now, you can text NAMI, that is NAMI, to 741-741.
Just a sad situation when you think about it. And the reason that this one was something that I really wanted to talk about, like I play a lot on this podcast because I just really and truly want to, when I open up the microphone, either in some way or fashion be helping you learn something as I like to, or be bringing you something that can make your day, be a little brighter, not always, taking it down. Because to me, as I scroll through social media, there are more than enough things going on that, just take us in a bad direction. But the reason that I really wanted to talk a little bit about this story before I bring on our guest today is because it's one of those things that we often see, I'm a big meme person. Like I look at the memes and a lot of them, if you see me post a meme, 9 times out of 10, it was extremely funny to me, or I kind of believe what that meme says. And one of the memes it's really one of my favorites is check on your strong friends and check on the people you care about in real life though. And that means so much to me is because if you look at her last 10 posts, like you would have really thought that this chick had everything in order. Like it's positivity. It's a good stand on mental health. These are all things that I saw her touch on. I mean, I even saw her in an interview with Denzel Washington. It was just all positivity on her post. And then this past Sunday, she makes a post and her last post is this: may this day bring you rest and peace. And I'm sure anybody reading that post that was hitting her with a comment or a like had no idea that she was on her way to take her own life. Because if, like I said, if you look at her post, you would have never gotten that. And after this story hit, I talked to a couple of people and this was said to me, and you do what you want to with this, but this may be one of the realest quotes or descriptions that I've ever heard when it comes to social media. And it said, social media is like the trailer to your real life, and your real life is the movie. And then the person said to me, if you think about it though, is the movie ever as good as the actual trailer? And when you look at it like that, you look at everybody that writes on social media and I know I'm saying everybody, but let's look at social media for the most part, right? It's a curated glimpse of everybody's lifestyle. So what does everybody try to put out there? They're happy, or either they know they got the right advice to tell you. Everything is going great. They got a bunch of money. They got this, they got that. It's always, for the most part, not always. Let me back up off of that. But for the most part, everybody's posting like everything is great. But when you turn that screen off and you have to go back to real life, that's when you have to wonder, is everybody really doing okay? A long time ago, like I was at a school and when I met kids that told me that they were taking social media posts down because they didn't get enough likes, that blew me because I could never imagine that. Like I could never imagine like being younger and social media running me so much that I felt like I had to remove a picture because I didn't get enough likes. But then I had to think about it though. These kids nowadays, they're born with a phone in their hand. So it's a different part of their life than it was for mine. I was talking to somebody the other day and I was like, it was hard for me to get bullied when I was younger. For one, like my relatives were crazy. So you weren't exactly going to follow me home and bully me because you didn't know what could happen on my block or with the people around me, even though I was like the smallest kid. And then also too, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I was kind of a cool kid. I was little, but I was kind of cool, right? But nowadays, it's harder for these kids to get away from bullying. It's harder for these kids to get away from when things aren't going right, because we got people creating fake profiles. People are sharing things about them. There's videos, there's pictures. So even when you go home, if you don't put that phone down, it's still coming. It's still coming. So what do you do? Or what do you even do if you're friends with somebody? How do you even know, right? So like I said, when I saw this thing with Cheslie Kryst, and again, I didn't know her, never met her. I didn't even really know much about her story. But again, looking at, what was said about her, and I went to look at her social media, and then I went to look at some things that were written on her. And this particular article in the New York Post, it said former Miss USA Cheslie Kryst penned a heartbreaking essay in 2021. And so I was like, heartbreaking essay? Like, looking at this chick's life, what could she be writing that's heartbreaking? And for me, what I started to realize was maybe she was giving us signals all along that she wasn't doing so great. Maybe, if you look at things other than her social media, right? So looking at this article, and they talk about things that she wrote in this heartbreaking essay, as they called it. Here's an excerpt from it that I read. Kryst, 30, who tragically jumped to her death from her Midtown high-rise Sunday morning, wrote candidly in an essay for Allure about overcoming the crushing expectations she once placed on herself after she nearly worked herself to death. I discovered the world's most important question, especially when asked repeatedly and answered frankly, is why. Kryst wrote of her change in thinking. Why work so hard to capture the dreams I've been taught by society to want when I continue to only find emptiness? So what that's starting to say to me, and again, I don't know, this is just my opinion, do with it what you want, you may have your own opinion, is that even with all this what seemed like to be accolades that she was getting, in reality, she was still feeling empty. She was still feeling like something wasn't there. And what I really started to notice was it seemed like to me that the more she thought about being 30, like that bothered her a lot, right? Check this part out. Kryst was 28 when she won the 2019 Miss USA pageant, becoming the oldest winner in the contest history. A designation even the sparkling $200,000 pearl and diamond Mikimoto, I guess I'm saying that right, crown could barely brighten for some diehard pageant fans who immediately began to petition for the age limit to be lowered, she noticed. Now, I ain't no pageant dude, but she ain't looking 30. But if folks, is it really that serious that because she won, folks are like, she's too old to be Miss America? And I guess I'm not in the pageant world, so it makes you think differently about what she might have been going through, right? So here she wrote more. A grinning, crinkly-eyed glance at my achievements thus far makes me giddy about laying the groundwork for more. But turning 30 feels like a cold reminder that I'm running out of time to matter in society's eyes, and it's infuriating. I ain't looking at you right now. I'm just looking at Jason, actually. Is 30 really that old? It's really not that old. But I guess, though, when you look at this world that I've been a part of for a long time in entertainment, they say even especially about the rap game, right? It's a young man's sport. So I guess, and again, I'm not a woman, so don't take this as I know this, but I've heard stories from talking to different women that it's even harder for a woman because a lot of things are based on their looks and how they are perceived by the audience, and the fact that this business is pretty much ran mostly by men. So that makes you think again, right? Or it made me think again. How much was really on her shoulders? Like, did she really? I mean, obviously, it was way more than she chose to bear because of the route that she took. But it just makes me think again, like, and you can't blame them. You got to check on your strong friends, man. Like, you got to ask them how they're really doing, you know? And, you know, I saw something on another newscast, and they were talking to someone who, you know, has worked in dealing with people who have mental health issues and stuff like that. And I don't know if I would ever be comfortable asking this, but I guess nowadays I have to look at it differently. They were like, you can't be afraid to ask your friends if you think that something is wrong or their mindset is shifting, or like all of a sudden they're giving away their belongings and they're starting to talk about life doesn't matter. Like, you shouldn't be afraid to ask them, have they contemplated suicide? That's a heavy question to ask somebody, right? Like, that's a real heavy question to ask somebody. But living in today's society, man, like, I guess we have to do it now. We have to go the extra mile to check on even the people that we think are the strongest. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there, man. Once again, rest in peace to Miss Cheslie Kryst. I didn't know her personally. I do know that if people matter to you, like you post, or like we post and say all these things out there, then tell them, tell them that they matter, and not just when you need something, or, that type of thing, like really check on them, not just shooting them a message on Instagram, or, DMing them a meme. Like, actually call them. Like, I know some people still be talking about, hey man, don't call me if you can text. Man, call them. So you can hear their actual voice. Make them pick up so you can hear in their voice that they're doing okay. Because once they're gone, ain't nothing you can do, but talk about how great that they were. That's all you can do, man. And there's all sorts of numbers out there that you can call and try to get help. But again, my point to this is, if you care about somebody, let them know and do your best to be there for them. And that to me is the extra step that you can take, man. So, because these stories to me are coming way, way too often. And her story is a big deal because of who she was. But imagine the stories that we're not hearing about, right? Stop playing. Don't forget, man, hit that subscribe button right now so you can catch all the updates and all the haps here at Hip Hop Study Hall. All right. It's your man, DJ Ekin. I see you. Subscribe. Hit it now.